Hello everyone, this is God and Center with Matthew. Tonight we're going to be reading out of the book of Mark. We're back in the New Testament. We had just got out of 1 Samuel, finished that up where Saul had died, killed himself actually. So God's led me into this because I was thinking about the guy on the roof, and there's more to this, there's more in here, but there's a lesson to be learned and we're going to figure it out. I'm not really sure exactly where this is going. I read it once a second ago. It's late at night. It's like 12:30 at night. So we're going to go into chapter 2. And again he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noised that he was in the house. And straightway many were gathered together, and so much that there was no room to receive them. Not so much as about the door, and he preached the word unto them. And they came unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was born of 4. And they could not come nigh unto him for the press. They uncovered the roof where he was, and then when they had broken it up, and let him down in the bed with the sick of the palsy lay. So palsy is, I just looked it up a while ago. It's you're paralyzed and you go into convulsions like seizures or something. So this dude's very sick. He's got some very good friends that's going to imagine trying to get a guy up on the roof that can go in these convulsions, these fits while you're putting him up. It's got to be very hard to get this man up on the roof, and you know, with him jerking around. If he does, maybe he was still that day, but he could have just went jerking out of control from what I read about this disease. So when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the sick palsy, "Son, thy sins be forgiven thee." But there were certain of the scribes sitting there and reasoning in their hearts, why both this man thus speak blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but only God? So they don't realize Jesus is God, and there's some people on this planet that doesn't believe Jesus is God, but Jesus was God manifested in flesh. That's who Jesus was. He came down to save us because we're wicked. We're just naturally wicked. I mean, without Jesus, there's no telling where I would be at, because I was going down a bad road at some point, and I'm sure anybody that has, there's probably people that's not been as bad as me. There's probably people that's been worse as me, watching or listening right now, that knows what Jesus can do for you if you let him into your heart. So I'm going down to verse 8. And immediately when Jesus perceived in his spirit what so reasoned within themselves, he said unto them, Why reason these things in your hearts? Whether it is easier for me to say for the sick of palsy, Thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, Arise and take up thy bed and walk. But ye may know that the Son of Man both have power on earth to forgive sins. He saved the sick of the palsy. I say unto thee, Arise, take up thy bed, and go thy way into thine house. So all Jesus had to do was speak this. And we're trying to get back into this is something I didn't realize when I was reading earlier, but there's so much power in what comes out of our mouth. Jesus didn't have to put his hands on the guy. All he did was spoke words, Arise and take up your mat and walk, and the guy did it. So it's like, try to pay attention to what's coming out of your mouth. You speak in these negative things, the negative things can happen. We just had an incident at work where there was some negative things being spoken, we're working on getting it cleared up. And it will be cleared up. It already seems better. You work in the kitchen. You're a group of pirates, basically. Just a group of pirates, and that's why I got into it years ago, because I feel like I fit in with them guys. But like, you know, the world is changing, sometimes in a good way. So like some stuff we see happen in this world is happening for the better, whether it looks like, you know, you're like, well, these people are soft and all this stuff now, but like, some stuff is like, not, you know, some stuff is just good. Like, it's good to not have the swear words and stuff being said. I mean, I have to work on that myself. You know, and I told the one kid, I've been swearing since I've been 12, but he goes to church. I was like, well, you need to look in James chapter 3. That'll teach you a little bit about that. Now, he asked him if he read it, and he said no. He said something, he was being a smart aleck about it, but he does go to church every Sunday, so I hope that he does pick it up and read. He says he does anyway. So, I'm going to verse 12 now. And immediately he rose up and took the bed, and went forth before them all, insomuch that they were all amazed and glorified God, saying, we never saw it on this fashion. So imagine like being around during Jesus' time and then not believing He's God. Being so uptight and so just angry at God. These people, these Pharisees that say they was all, you know, all holier than thou, they actually hated the Son. They actually hated God. They seen Him with their own eyes and they hated Him. So there's people that go to church every Sunday that actually hate God. They go there to show face. And a lot of people don't go to church because they say, you know, this one's doing, well, we can't get into what this one's doing, what that one's doing, if they're going there for the right reason. We just need to suit up and show up and be there for the right reason for ourselves. It ain't really about what other people's doing. Now, if you don't agree with what the preacher's preaching on Sunday, then find another church. You know, there's so many different churches, so many different denominations out there. I'm sure you'll find one that you can agree with and you can enjoy. I just happen to be really blessed by God. I get to see my family. My family runs a church. My uncle and my cousin and second cousin or whatever. But like they, I get to see about 70% of the congregation is my dad's side of the family. So I really am blessed that I get to see them. Each one get to see them on family reunions once a year, and we ain't had one of them in 20 years. We need to have another one, by the way. If any of the family's watching, we need to figure out how to get one and just have one. So we can go to verse, I'd like to have Indian Creek again. It's been so long since I've been there. I was probably 20 years. I'm going to go to verse 13 now. And he went forth again by the seaside, and all the multitude restored unto him, and he taught them. And as he passed by, he saw Levi the son of Alphaeus sitting. Let's see if I can get this page turned. Had the receipt for custom, and said unto him, Follow me. He arose and followed him. And it came to pass that as Jesus sat at meat at the house, many publicans and sinners sat there also with Jesus, and said to the disciples, for there were many that followed him. And when the scribes and the Pharisees saw him eat with the publicans and sinners, they said unto the disciples, How is it that he eateth and drinketh with publicans and sinners? And Jesus heard it, and said unto them, Thus that who are whole have no need for a physician, but they that are sick I came not to call the righteous, but the sinners to repentance. So I'm going to back it up a little bit, because I forgot to bring up this very important thing. Is this is sort of an important lesson. Really, it really is an important lesson. So back when remember the guy's friends the one who brought him and took him Jesus to actually heal him. So it's important the type of friends you have. It's very important, because the friends is what caused him to be healed. It wasn't necessarily him. So anybody that's out there in this messed up world, maybe you're not actually believing in Jesus 100%, or maybe you're not doing stuff right. It's important to have them. It's important to have good Christian men, good Christian women, a good group of people that you are friends with, that you're working towards, because their prayers can help you. You've seen that this guy got healed from the faith of his friends. I have no doubt in my mind over the years when I was not in good standing with God, that the faith of my family and the faith of my good friends is what kept me out of just pure bad, super bad things happening. I mean, there's so many bad things that could have went wrong. Just I tiptoed through danger. Most of my like all my 20s, my entire 20s was nothing but, and then half of my 30s. And probably from, I say from 15 to 35, that's what, 20 good years of just tiptoeing around, not, you know, being stupid. And but somehow, because I found favor with God through the power of my family praying for me. So it is important to keep a close test, but it also, right here, is important not to snub people. So it doesn't mean necessarily that you're just supposed to be buddy, you know, just hang out with them and sin with them. These people may be in sin that you're going to see, but you're supposed to be there to uplift them and help them and be the example, not to fall into sin with them. So that's not what Jesus was doing. Jesus wasn't drinking and sinning and doing whatever these guys are doing. He was with them, teaching them the way, the truth, and light, which is through him and through the baptism. And so our job as Christians is to be the light, and not to just be mean to people. Our job is not to be mean people, look down on people. You know, it takes a long time to get to the place where you are as a Christian. You didn't just get there like that. I hope that everybody realizes they didn't wake up and that was perfect. No, and you're still not. You wake up every day and you try to be the best man or woman you can be each and every day. You know? So I'm going to go on to verse 18. The disciples of John and of the Philistines used to fast. And they come to say unto him, Why do the disciples of John and the Pharisees fast, but thy disciples do not fast? And Jesus said unto them, Can the children of the bridegroom fast while the bridegroom is with them? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. But the day will come when the bridegroom shall be taken away from them, and then they shall fast in those days. No man also seweth a piece of cloth. Well, I'm gonna stop right there. So Jesus is telling them, I'm with them right now. You fools, you don't realize I'm God. So I'm right here with them. So I'm not asking to sacrifice nothing. I'm trying to teach these knuckleheads. I'm trying to show these guys the way to save people, which is through the baptism. Jesus himself got baptized the chapter before. I almost did that chapter, but this is the one that God spoke to me. Maybe I'll go back to that one later, but the chapter before this one, Jesus got baptized. Jesus is getting these disciples. He had a few people follow him. It was fishers, and he said, I'll make you fishers of men. So he's getting some knuckleheads. He's getting the knuckleheads round up. Every one of these guys in his boat was a bunch of knuckleheads, just like I am, just like some of y'all are. Jesus will use a knucklehead. He loves us knuckleheads, and he loves to see us do good once we get it. Once we understand what is going on and where God wants us, and we still may fall. Like right there you see, I think it's Peter, took his eyes off Jesus, and he was walking on water too. He took his eyes off Jesus. I'm going to do a lesson on that at some point. We got to keep our eyes on Jesus. So I'm going to go on to verse 21 now. No man also seweth a piece of new cloth on the old garment, else the new piece that will fill it up taketh away from the old, and the rent is made worse. And no man putteth new wine into old bottles, else the new wine doeth burst the bottles, and the wine is spilled, and the bottles will be marred. But new wine must be put into new bottles. And it came to pass that he went through the cornfields on the Sabbath day, and his disciples began as they went to pluck an ear of corn. And the Pharisee said unto them, Behold, why do they on the Sabbath day that which is not lawful? He said unto them, Have you ever read what David did? So we're going. This is so cool because I just got through out of David, and I told you guys that in I think it was a 3-part series, that I'd done a 3-part series before, and this is actually talking about the 3-part series before. It says, have you never read what David did? He had need and was hungered, he and they that were with him. How he had went into the house of God in the days of Abadar, the high priest, and did eat the shewbread, which is not lawful to eat, but for the priest, and gave also to them which were with him. He said unto them, The Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Therefore the Son of Man is also Lord of Sabbath. So Jesus saying, they're with me, and if I tell them they can have it, they can have it. Clearly, David had to God a blessing, because David was a man after God's own heart. So David had gotten the blessing from God to go get the bread. No, he wasn't supposed to be eating it. And that priest ended up getting killed. So Jesus didn't really talk about that, and I don't really know why, but there was. But David's men lived, and then whatever happened was supposed to happen. But Saul did end up killing that priest. I don't think it's for exactly that, but he didn't believe him. The priest was telling the truth. David lied to the priest, and so David's lie actually got him killed. But David did need the showbread, and he went and got it. Sometimes we have to do what we got to do in order to survive. And God, you just have to talk to God, but you have to work all that out. There's some people say you ain't supposed to work on Sundays, you're supposed to be at church every Sunday, and you should quit your job to be able to do that. But I don't know about that. It doesn't necessarily say for us not to quit our job and do all that, because we can still get in this book every day of the week. So I'm not going to get into all that saying you need to quit your job and make less money and all that stuff. And I'm not saying for you to go put money first, by no means or nothing, but sometimes man has to do what he's got to do to survive. And that's what I'm getting out of some of this. They had to eat on Sunday. I guess they could have fasted, but Jesus wasn't wanting them to fast until he wasn't there with them anymore. That's what he said earlier in this chapter. That there's going to be a time for them to fast when he's not there with them. So, the lesson today is it's important to have good people in your circle. Because by having good people in your circle, you may get blessed by God just for being around them people, and for them people to be praying for you, or these people may actually bring you into being saved. So if you're teetering the fence, at least have you a couple good friends in your corner, and that's what I'm seeing here. And it's also saying if you are, a believer of God, you are saved, that you shouldn't look down on people. These Pharisees thought they was just the cream of the crop and that everybody else was just beneath them. That's not what Jesus came in to change all that. And Jesus loves each and every one of us, whether we are in sin or not in sin. Now whether we do the right things before we die, You know, he wants us to get baptized. I mean, the baptism was a very important thing. I wished I had went into that before I led in this, but like that, God has spoke to me about the guy on the roof and about his friends. So it's important to have friends that believe in God. I mean, you may be healed, or you may get the job you need. You may get the apartment you need, or the house you need, or your car, whatever it is that you're actually in need of, food, or even just groceries in the house. Sometimes just having good people, you can be blessed by just having good. That's what this dude was paralyzed. This dude that couldn't walk, and he sometimes just shook uncontrollably. Jesus just spoke them words. Now remember, I also said something about the words. Jesus spoke them words, pick up your mat and walk, arise and walk. He spoke them. He didn't touch him. He didn't do nothing else. He spoke that. So let's be focused on this week on what's coming out of our mouth. It just fits in the lesson too, because like I said, we've had to put some stuff in place at work, and it's going to be hard because there's a lot of people. So we just need to focus on what is coming out of our mouth. Is it positive? Does it edify God? If it's negative, we don't need to say it. It don't need to come out of our mouth. If it's vulgar, nasty, and that stuff, it's really no reason for it to come out of our mouth. So, and I'm speaking to myself too. I really worked on it. There was at some point in my life when I got out of that mission, I probably didn't cuss for like, I'm gonna say at least a year and a half. I didn't say no cuss words. I got in James chapter 3, had to write it a lot, and that speaks a lot about the power of the tongue and like stuff coming out of your mouth. But you know, Jesus spoke this world in existence. He just spoke and healed that man just by speaking it. Said we're made in the image, similitude of God, in the image of God. So it's very important the words that come out of our mouth. They can hurt people, they can destroy people, and they can actually, or they can build them up. So are you building somebody up today, or are you tearing them down? If you're tearing them down, man, that ain't worth a flitter. You need to stop that. You need to start building your friends up. You need to start praying for your friends. You need to start doing what I just talked about, man. If you ain't been baptized, get hold of me. We'll get some water. We'll get some water somewhere, and we will get you dunked. And we will get you baptized. We'll get you saved. If you don't want me to do it, find your local church and make sure that that's what they believe. If they don't believe that, that's not the church you need to go to. Because that's, I was just talking about it in Mark 1. If y'all get time, I challenge each and every one watching this to read Mark chapter 1. I just read and 2, but I just read 2, so you ain't necessarily got to read 2 because you watch this video. If you watch this video, you listen to it. I read the whole thing to you and I explained my points on it. And but I challenge everybody this week to read Mark chapter 1. It's not hard. It's a very short chapter, and it's a very important lesson. So if, especially if you haven't actually been, you're going to see that Jesus himself decided that's what John was doing, and John baptized Jesus. So I'm going to get off here now. If you like what you've seen, like, share, subscribe, and comment. I have people sending me comments through the messages when I send them to them. If you can, I appreciate the messages, but can you put the messages in the link in the video? When you watch the video, put the messages under there because it does something. I need all the little messages and likes and shares and all that stuff I can get. I love each and every one of y'all, and I pray that y'all have a blessed Sunday morning. I think it's Sunday now at this time. Y'all have a blessed day. God bless everybody.